This is Seth with WEAC Radio out here in Ferguson under the sponsorship of Credo Action. We're back with Rashad from Color of Change. Rashad, tell us what's going on tonight.
Well, a lot of people have come out tonight. There's a curfew. I think there's a lot of activists and a number of observers from places like Amnesty and others. This week I think has been really trying and emotionally hard for a lot of people. I think that's the culmination of it. I think that folks are really hoping that things are going to be peaceful tonight. But more than anything, the focus from a lot of the activists that I've been talking to throughout the day has been, to really continue to focus on justice. Justice for Mike Brown, continuing to keep the pressure on both locally and nationally to ensure that justice is served. There's so many other ways that this story can go, but we really do want to focus on justice.
Right. So you've been out here, and I know you've spoken to people out here, and what would you say the mood towards the curfew is?
Well, I think the mood towards the curfew is that, people don't really have full answers. Like the governor announced the curfew without really a timeline, didn't really answer a lot of questions about it. I do think that, time will tell, what the actual plan is for enforcing it. But we've got to figure out a way in this community and other communities around the country to find better partnerships between law enforcement and everyday people in these crises and outside of these crises. We've gotten to a place where there's absolutely no trust between the law enforcement and the people, and that's boiling over in really destructive ways. That's not going to be solved tonight, and it's not going to be solved tomorrow. But for the sort of path forward for the governor and for other people who feel like, they've got some skin in the game to do something right here long term, they've got to start providing some real answers to this community about what's happening, what's going to happen, and what are the next steps.
Okay, so just a block up, I just walked down. There are police in riot gear. They look ready. What is your plan for the curfew?
My plan is to obey the curfew. I run a civil rights organization, and my job is to be out here to support the organizers, to support the efforts. But the local organizers who I'm working with want us to obey the curfew. We will organize and build and fight another day. We also want to keep the young people out. More pain, more damage to people's bodies. Saying to encourage people to obey the curfew, and then tonight that's what we'll do, and then tomorrow we're going to organize. We're going to continue to raise our voices around this issue. We're going to look towards the systemic policy changes that we can fight for between law enforcement and everyday people have broken down, where black people and people of color feel like they can be hurt, murdered, killed by police officers, and that there's going to be no accountability, a feeling in their communities, in a way that they feel, and the facts bear that out, that they are enemy combatants in their own communities.
So there was a large march earlier. I'm not sure if your friends from Amnesty International were organizers of that. I know they were a part of it, but do you know of anything that's planned for tomorrow?
There's supposed to be another big march planned by the National Action Network and other folks. I was part of the march here today as well. There's going to continue to be rallies. There's been rallies all around the country. And something, as I talk to the local folks, as I've given people rides or had some barbecue out in the street with people, folks have been so thankful and appreciative, have been so thankful and appreciative for people that have come from other places and have helped to sort of shine a light and expose what they feel like they've been going through in silence without national attention. And I sat in a car with a woman who, when she heard I was from New York, she started to cry, and she couldn't believe that there were folks who from as far away from New York that actually cared. And she heard about them shutting down Times Square in the protest. And for people here who feel like they're sort of sitting in the middle of the country and they're sort of outside their national spotlight, and every single day they're dealing with DC or Chicago or LA or wherever else when these things happen. But we need leadership in local communities. And when we do have leaders in local communities, we need to hold them up. We need to provide them the type of platforms to be heard and counted and visible. And so I say Organization for Black Leadership, I say the other local groups here, we should be supporting them. Your listeners should go to their website, find ways to donate to them in this moment, because after like all the lights and the cameras leave, it's going to be the groups here on the ground that are going to have to continue the hard work of mending this community, of pushing for change, of pushing for the electoral strategies that are going to change the political dynamics here for the long term. And so from my perspective, that's what we need to be doing.
Rashad, as always, we appreciate your words. You got anything else before we go?
I just want to thank, once again, WEAC Radio for live streaming this, for providing the type of visibility for people around the country who couldn't be here, to see what's happening, to be an eyewitness to this moment, and for always keeping activism in mind in the work you do.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
This is Seth from WEAC Radio, sponsored by Credo Action. We're here with Rashad from Color of Change, still out here in Ferguson. Letting y'all know the real. This ain't the mainstream, this the real deal.